I'm guessing we're in agreement to who we think's going to win the Southeastern Conference.
I think it'll be Georgia.
I think so too.
Yeah, Carson Beck. They're like the top 4 teams all have in mind anyway, have a quarterback that's a potential Heisman candidate. Carson Beck, potential Heisman and number 1 overall pick. They picked up transfer running back Trevor Etienne from Florida, Travis's bro. And defense under Kirby Smart is always loaded. They could lose 9 guys in the NFL, and it's just they'll only give up about 15 points a game again. So I think they'll be very, very good.
Yep, Carson Beck was my Heisman favorite to win. That was one of my 24 bold predictions for 2024. And you know what I love about one thing I do like about the transfer portal is like Purdue took 4, I think, guys from Georgia.
Yeah,
they're probably going to all start for Purdue. I'm like, I'll take their reserves that don't start all day long because it's better than anything Purdue can usually recruit. So we'll see if they play well for Purdue or not. But yeah, Kirby Smart, man, he's got figured out down there. Back-to-back national champions. They'll be right in the mix for number 3. Dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were always one of the schools growing up. Clemson was the same way for me.
Yeah.
Very good, couldn't get over the hump. I couldn't take them seriously as a national championship contender. Now those two have really flipped the script last decade.
Yeah, once they finally got that first one, felt like they were going to win multiple more, and they did.
Yep. So. Well, and Georgia's an amazing play by Tua away from having another one.
That's right. Yeah.
So. Who do you got finishing runner-up, losing to them in the SEC championship?
I have Alabama. I
have Bama number 3. I have Bama number 3.
I know they lost old Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer is there now. I think we'll see a much more a significantly different style of offense than we're used to seeing under Nick Saban, where they just pound the rock. I know they've had some good quarterback play here the past couple of years with Tua and Mac Jones and even Jalen Milroe, who is a potential Heisman guy. I know
Jalen Hurts was good for him too.
And Hurts too before he transferred to Oklahoma. Defense is always good. They had 3 guys on the first team all SEC preseason on defense. Massive, maybe the biggest shoes to fill of any coach outside of maybe ever. I mean, in college football, I would say that's the biggest shoes you could possibly fill, is what Kalen DeBoer is having to deal with.
Yeah, new coordinators there as well. Kane Womack on the defense side of the ball. A lot of IU fans might be closet Alabama fans this year because there's a lot of former IU coaching staff ties on this Alabama Crimson Tide staff. So, but yeah, they're going to be good.
They'd be very smart to just jump on the Bama bandwagon altogether.
They would.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll be good. They'll be good. It is crazy to see them without Saban, but I think Saban's going to be pretty interesting on TV.
Yeah.
So
it'll be pretty funny. Yeah.
Yep. So who do you got finishing number 3?
I have Texas.
All right. I got Texas number 4.
Okay. All right. Quinn Ewers, Heisman candidate, as I said, multiple guys here. They got 3 transfer wide receivers: Bond from Bama, Golden from Houston, and Bolden from Oregon State. All expected to put up huge numbers. 4 of their projected starters on defense are transfers. I'm very interested to see how they match up in the SEC. It might take them a little while, although this Texas team is set up to be pretty good.
Yep. They got tight end from Alabama too, and Amari Niblack. So, yeah, they're going to be good. I mean, the running back C.J. Baxter's returning. The line's amongst the best in college football. 4 starters out of 5 returning on the offensive line, including left tackle Kelvin Banks. Sarkisian finally got over the hump last year, winning 12 games. They literally were back. I mean, I know years ago, Sam Ellinger, after winning the Sugar Bowl, said, "We're back." Well, they weren't, but now they are back. And I know we say this a lot, that we don't like when people say college football is better when X is good. But Texas, you could fill them right in on that blank.
Yeah,
and they are a traditional power. I mean, yeah, a lot of tradition there. But I got them finishing 4th.
Good.
So I'm guessing who you have 4th. I might have a runner-up.
Ole Miss.
Okay. Rebels.
Yeah, Jackson Dart, another potential Heisman candidate. They did lose Quinshon Judkins to Ohio State, but have Ulysses Bentley, the 4th, 5.7 yards per carry last year. Both starting wide receivers, Watkins and Harris, are back. Also, they got a transfer from South Carolina, Antoine Wells, who had 928 yards in 22. Defense kind of middle of the pack. Six of their projected starters are transfers. But old Lane Kiffin, he was ahead of his time, or he was hired too soon, I would say, by a bunch of guys, and now he's a good football coach.
Yeah, and I think he's found his fit there. I don't really see him leaving. He's probably had opportunities the last few years for a few other jobs.
Right.
I mean, just the fact that he wasn't real interested in Alabama kind of tells you what you need to know down there if you're a fan of the old Miss Rebels there in Oxford, Mississippi. So, they're definitely – I remember at one time when them and Mississippi State were always battling out for who was the better school in the state. Now one is head and shoulders better than the other.
Yeah. Yeah, significantly so.
Who you got number 5?
I have Louisiana State.
Me too. Brian Kelly and his family. And I will say this about Brian Kelly. We do not like him. We don't think he's a good human being. He is a good football coach. Yeah. They've won 10 games back-to-back seasons, but now it feels like the pressure's ramped up for the Zealous team. Yep.
Yeah, year 3. I'm sure it will feel like top 4 or bust in the SEC this year. They did lose Jaden Daniels to the NFL, had 40 passing touchdowns, and he was the team's number 1 rusher last year, who was just named starter of the Washington Commanders today.
Yes.
Garrett Nussmeier, who was he was pretty solid backup behind Jaden Daniels, will be the starter. Got a transfer wide receiver from Liberty, C.J. Daniels, who had over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns last year. They had a below-average defense last season, so they need to make significant improvement on that side of the ball in order to contend for an SEC title.
Yeah, a lot of staff changes there for Brian Kelly. He lost his offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock. He's going to Notre Dame. He is at Notre Dame now as Notre Dame's new OC. So he promoted Joe Sloan to be the play caller. On defense side of the ball, though, that's the defense they struggled really bad last year for an LSU defense, I should say. He landed Blake Baker from Missouri to call plays and former Texas assistant Bo Davis to coach the defensive line. So they're thinking big things on the defense side of the ball down there in Baton Rouge. So because that defense gave up 33 points and 6.3 yards a snap in SEC play.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
bad.
Not good. So who you got number 6?
Are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see.
Good one.
I remember you wearing that shirt in high school all the time.
Middle school.
I remember in high school.
It was middle school.
They lost Joe Milton to the New England Patriots. Their projected starting quarterback. It was. I very vividly remember you wearing it in high school.
That's pretty sad that you very vividly remember you wearing something.
I don't know why it just stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
Their projected starting quarterback is redshirt freshman Nico Iamaleava, who was the number 2 overall player in the class of 23. Defense led by James Pierce, 10 sacks. Big year for Josh Heupel and the boys.
Yeah, Nico won the Heisman Trophy in my 3rd year, my Purdue dynasty. But I did play him in the playoffs. I picked him off 3 times, but dude can throw it like 80 in the air. It was terrifying.
His last name is perfect for the transfer portal. Iamaleava.
Yes, it is. He can do some NIL stuff with that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Heupel's got a good thing going down there in Knoxville. But this is just where I see Tennessee. Like, they can be really good and still 5th or 6th in the SEC. Yeah. I don't see them being a playoff team.
Yeah, I don't ever see him being in that upper echelon with teams like Georgia, Bama, even LSU.
They went 9-4 last year. They won 11 games the previous year. So, yeah. About 9 wins again. Sounds about right. Yeah. So, we got number 7.
I have Missouri.
I got Missouri as well. When's that old football rivalry get ramped up again between them and Illinois?
I want to say it's next season or 2026.
Okay.
Brady Cook, 29 total touchdowns last year. They lost Cody Schrader's 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground, but picked up transfer Marcus Carroll from Georgia State, 1,350 yards and 13 touchdowns last year. Top wide receiver in the SEC, Luther Burden. He returns 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. Dinklewitz or whatever his name, Drinkwitz, I think that's his name.
Eli.
Eli is his first
Drinkwitz,
name. Yeah. He's done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, I mean, last year they went 11-2. They were number 8 in the nation. Do you remember they beat Ohio State in the bowl game? They were 17-19 under his tenure after 3 years before last year. So they
Yeah.
really came on, surprised everybody. But this is a big year for them to prove they're not a one-hit wonder. Like you said, I'm not worried about them on offense, but I'm worried about them on defense because, like I mentioned with LSU, they have Blake Baker now, who was LSU or was their defense coordinator. He left. Excuse me. They're missing him now. He went to LSU, and his defense last year only gave up 20.8 points per game. And only 5 starters back from that defense. So a lot of new faces there in Columbia.
Yeah.
Who do you got number 8?
I have Oklahoma.
I got the Sooners as well. When's the last
Man.
time somebody's had them finishing 8th in a conference?
That's a
Preview.
good question. Losing Dylan Gabriel to Oregon kills them. They did get transferred from Purdue, Deion Burks, though. So
Yep. He was Purdue's number 1, but he's probably fits in better as like a number 3 out of Oklahoma.
Defense led by Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman. Just middle of the pack.
Yep. Yeah, Brett Venables, I still don't really know what to think about him. I mean,
Yeah.
he did go from 6 wins year 1 to 10 last year. I don't know if they're going to win 10 games this year. I don't see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We got number 9.
I have the Auburn Tigers.
I got the Texas A&M Aggies.
Auburn 6-7 in Hugh Freeze's first year. Peyton Thorne returns. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, honestly.
Old Spartan.
3 new guys are their projected wide receivers, led by Robert Lewis from Georgia State. And they have Jarquez Hunter was their running back, 900 yards rushing last year. Auburn hasn't been that good here recently.
Yeah, the new Divas coordinator is DJ Durkin, old Maryland head coach.
Yeah.
They did not end last year well. They lost to New Mexico State, then lost the heartbreaker to Alabama, and then they lost to Maryland in the Music City Bowl.
Oh man, that Alabama one was bad.
Yeah, so that was bad for Auburn, but they'll be talented, but we'll see. I don't. That's why I got them 10th. I don't see them finishing above that.
Yeah.
Who do you got 10th?
I have Texas A&M finishing.
All right, that's where I got 9th. Mike Elko, new coach.
Mhm.
We talked about him a few weeks ago because season opens up at College Game Day at home at College Station against Notre Dame. He comes over from Duke. I mean, Duke was 5-18 prior to Elko's arrival there. So then they went 16-9, 2 years under Elko. So
Connor Wiegman was solid as a freshman last year, quarterback, and they need him to be very good if they want to finish in the top half. Could be a rebuilding season.
Well, Wiegman got hurt. He didn't play much last year. Yeah, he missed most of the 2023 season last year. Yeah, so they should be a lot better with him back. But Ruben Owens is back. I remember he was a big deal. He was a 5-star commit to Louisville, and Louisville was all about him. But then he flipped last year at the last minute. Went to A&M. He also got hurt last year. So Musa Muhammad III.
Oh man,
number 1 target.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yep. On defense side of the ball, Aggies only gave up 23.1 points per game last year, but they struggled against teams with a winning record, allowing 34.2 points per game in those games. Strength of the group rests up front. Purdue transfer Nick Scorton should raise havoc. I mean, he raised havoc at Purdue, but I still wouldn't doubt to see his numbers go down a little bit. I think, part of Ryan Walter's system is those edges can eat the quarterback, and that's what he did last year. But I look for him to potentially be a first-round draft pick from A&M. So A&M is not the Purdue fans' favorite program. They took him and tight end Garrett Miller away from Purdue. So 2 Texas boys there. But a lot of talent there, just a lot of gaps to fill in there for Elko in his first year. But big week 1 against Notre Dame.
I have Kentucky finishing 11th.
I do too. Yep.
Disappointing year last year, 7-6. They have transfers all over the offense. Brock Vandegrift is projected quarterback who backed up Beck at Georgia. DeMontre Trayanum, who's a running back from Ohio State, was their backup last year. Had a pretty good year backing up there. And wide receiver Jay Macklin from North Texas had over 1,000 yards and 11 tutties. So with transfer portal and NIL, it might be a little difficult for Kentucky football to kind of gain some ground on these teams.
Yeah, new offensive coordinator coming over from Boise State, Bush Hamdan. Hopefully he can get them going a little bit. because he led Boise State's offense at 32.1 points per game last year as their signal caller. I'm looking at their schedule. They got a lot of swing games that are at home. That might help them. In swing games, I'm considering South Carolina, Auburn, and Louisville. That's 3 big swing games if they want to make postseason. So having those all at home should help.
Yeah. I have Florida finishing 12th.
I got the Gators as well.
I saw a list today from Bet Online that had Billy Napier as the highest odds to be the first head coach fired. Huge year. They fired Dan Mullen after he won 10 games a bunch of years,
When they fired, what was his face? McElwain.
McElwain, yeah.
Even though he wasn't great, he still got him to 2 SEC championships.
Yeah.
Fired him, and good old Napier here is 11-14 to start his career in games.
Terrible. Yeah, if they finish under 500, he's gone, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Graham Mertz is back. Not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Their top running back returns. They got a couple transfer wide receivers, Badger and DK. Defense was bad last year, 27 points a game. So
gave 33.6 points per game in SEC play.
SEC play, yeah.
Not going to win games.
So could be rough once again, and I think Napier's done.
Yep, me too.
I have South Carolina finishing 13th.
I got them 14th.
Shane Beamer was on that list as well as one of the highest odds. Redshirt freshman Lenora Sellers, projected quarterback. Transfer running back Raheem Sanders from Arkansas had 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns in 2022. Dealt with injuries last season.
His nickname is Rocket Sanders.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. They shouldn't be very good, honestly.
No. And they lost KJ Jefferson to UCF, so that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
So
who do you got 14th?
Arkansas. Huge year again. Sam Pittman, who has
11-14 record.
Yeah, KJ Jefferson played there at Arkansas.
He did.
South Carolina. South Carolina was that guy from Oklahoma. What was his name? The heck was his name? Spencer Rattler.
Yep. You're right.
But yeah, Jefferson left to go to Central Florida.
UCF. Yep.
Taylon Green from Boise's projected starter, through 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. So it's not looking good this year for Arkansas. I think Pittman's probably gone too.
Pittman's 4-12 in SEC games. So
yeah, that's not going to get her done.
No.
So
what do you expect when you hire an offensive line coach as your head coach?
I mean, offensive
line
coach
at Georgia.
Could be a really good head coach. They guys got to surround themselves with a really good staff.
Yeah, Sean Clark does a good job at Appalachian State, and he was off.
And Arkansas is a really tough SEC job too.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean,
I know they had some good success under Houston Nutt, as well as.
So what you're saying is they're going to turn into more of a basketball school with Calipari now.
I think so. Honestly, their basketball program's been a little better here the past. 10
you got
years.
Jerry Jones in your back pocket and John Daly.
I know.
With NIL.
Yeah. Mississippi State, I got finishing 15th.
Yep, me too.
New coach Jeff Lebby, who was offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. It'll be a rebuilding year. Transfers all over. 12
Only
of the
2 starters coming back.
Yeah, 12 of the 22 projected starters are transfers, led by quarterback Blake Shapen. So could be a rough one down there, Mississippi State.
Yeah, the cowbells aren't going to be ringing down there in Starksville too often, I don't think.
No.
And lastly.
Yeah, Vandy's head coach Clark Shea was also on that list of potential guys to be fired early. That's a really tough job with the NIL conference realignment.
He's 0-8 in conference play the last 2 years.
Yeah,
9-27 overall.
2-10 last year when they were having stadium renovations where they literally had like a I don't know, some sort of machine holding up a jumbotron and it was swaying in the wind. It was so bad.
Really bad.
I don't see them being much better than 2-10 this year either.
They'll never do anything to SEC. They weren't going to anyways before the transfer portal in NIL era, but now factor those in and diminishes it even more. So.
Yeah.